I mean, congratulations are in order, am I right?
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, they are. And it's been a long time coming. It's been 6 yeyears since we started this.
Is it 6 years? Good
finally have a
grief.
result.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did speak, I think, pretty much at the outset of this, and I mean, I hope you won't be offended. It seemed that you might be on a hiding to nothing. So explain briefly exactly what your mission was, exactly what your grievance was.
Well, it's done very simply. I was the archetypal gig worker. I thought I was just going to supplement my income and work flexibly, as the dream promised. And it came to a crashing halt one March evening in 2015. I was assaulted.
Yes.
And I thought, well, this is fine. It's a digital app. Everything will be tracked and traced. And but I found that Uber wouldn't cooperate with the police. They wouldn't identify who the assailant was. And I started looking around at the contracts to understand, well, where's the duty of care? Who's responsible for what? And then I saw what the problem was. The problem was Uber had created this fiction that I was contracting directly with the customer, and that it was simply a booking agent. So I could see that immediately it didn't want to be involved. It didn't want to trigger public liability for the customer. It didn't want to trigger employment liability for me. And so they didn't want to have anything to do with it. And it's from there that the case started and proceeded to where we are today.
And where we are today is, a swinging judgment from the Supreme Court that will turn Uber upside down. I need to ask you, if it's so awful, and I ask this in good faith, if it is so awful, why are so many people signing up to do it?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's so awful.
No.
I mean, there is a role for this work. All we've ever asked Uber to do is to obey the law. We all have to obey the law. And, they fought for this long and hard to do that. There is a role for Uber. There is a role for this type of work in the economy, and people appreciate that. And that's fine. But, Uber has to obey the law just like everybody else has.
And what will be the changes as you understand it, starting with the biggest?
Well, the biggest one is that the workers will have protection of at least the minimum wage for every hour that they're logged on the platform, from log on to log off.
And just pause for a minute for people that have never driven for Uber. I mean, what is the lowest you could reasonably expect to make in an hour if you were up and ready for work?
Well, I gave evidence that I was earning £5.03 an hour, £5.03 an hour. And that's after your costs. And my net take home was £5.03 an hour, and that's before national insurance or income tax.
So we could be looking at close to a doubling then of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And this is, you think that, work has dropped off by 80% during the pandemic, and we have a lot of drivers on the road earning not much more than £30 a day, but they'll take it because they have to make a contribution towards their fixed costs, the vehicle financing and so on. And now it just means that after your costs, you're entitled to earn at least minimum wage for every hour that you're out there. And this is going to have big benefits too for urban centres, because the phenomena of Uber is about oversupply.
Yes.
And not being responsible for the cost of that. And so now Uber has the right economic incentives to rationalise that, not underemploy people, utilise people properly, which will reduce congestion and poverty and improve air quality.